going on YouTube? I want to go over my controller settings with you. I'm getting a lot of comments down below in my videos, in my clips. What are my controller settings? How do I play like that on controller? And I will tell you, but first off, I'm going to tell you what controller hardware I am using. I am using the FlyDigi Apex Pro 4. This is not sponsored by them in any way. I just really like their controllers. The main reason being, when I use these thumbsticks, I am never going to get stick drift. I don't need to replace my controller because I get stick drift because they use magnets instead of springs. So if you're having stick drift issues with your scuffs or whatever, I recommend you find a Hall Effect. It's what it's called. That's the technology. A Hall Effect thumbstick controller. It doesn't have to be from these guys, but if you get that, you won't have to deal with stick drift. Now moving on. I have paddles on the back of my controller. This is how I interact with stuff in game. This is how I reload, and I use these for my gadgets, my left and my right gadgets for these buttons, in case you're curious. Also, so going into my nitty gritty of my settings, a lot of this is super important. I don't play a whole lot different than what most people are playing, but there are 3 different things that really set apart the game feeling like it's perfect and translating my thoughts into my character when I'm in a gunfight. And the first of those 3 things is this auto sprint. If you're playing on controller the way and you want to play the way I'm playing, you need to have auto sprint on right here in gameplay settings, and you need to have auto sprint trigger delay set to 0. It's sometimes you're going to see me in a gunfight. I love using the FCAR. I'll be shooting someone with the FCAR, and then I'll stop, slide to the right, and then stop again and start shooting in the same place. That way I'm a moving target. This is how I'm able to do that. As soon as I stop shooting, I can un-ADS and sprint immediately in one direction, flick back over and start shooting them again, and they're shooting where I used to be. So if I'm missing my shots and they're hitting theirs, that's a quick way to reset the gunfight in a matter of seconds to give myself the advantage, and then hopefully aim for the head and get that TTK back on my side if they're using a better weapon or they're just more accurate than me when they were starting that gunfight. Now into the nitty gritty, the controller settings over here. Now I have my look sensitivity horizontal and vertical set to 500 maxed out. I know that looks a little bit intimidating as you see that. You're thinking if I max it out 500, I'm not going to be able to control that. Now, I'm telling you, stick with me. I've got some foam around my sticks. That really helps me. So another thing there, foam around my stick. That helps me control those big flicky movements. But what's really going to do it for you is this zoom sensitivity and scope zoom sensitivity multiplier. These are so low that I can look around when I'm un-ADS. My hip fire's a little rough, but I look around un-ADS'd super fast like I'm on keyboard and mouse. But when I ADS, it's slow and I can make micro adjustments. Now, what if I'm shooting someone, I'm making these small movements, I'm getting shot in the back, and even 500 isn't fast enough for me? That's where these horizontal and vertical look boosts are so important and come in handy. If I'm getting shot in the back and I'm making these micro adjustments, I'm not going to use a linear curve to go from here slowly over, and it's not gonna be slow because it's 500. But the look boost, what it does is it keeps your sensitivity at a certain degree in the center, the little micro adjustments. It keeps it consistent, and then if you max it out all the way to one side, it enables this boost depending on how powerful you want it to be. I've got a video far back that shows a comparison between 250, 0, and 500 having these boosts enabled. But what it does is once you max it around, say I'm getting shot at in the back, I max it all the way, it'll boost me around super fast, and then I recenter my thumbstick, and then I'm back to those micro adjustments. So I can go, slide, flick around, and then find my target and make the micro adjustments to aim for his head and really follow him as I'm in that gunfight, really making it look like I'm a hybrid between well-aimed player and a good movement player. So pairing these 3 settings with the high vertical and horizontal look sensitivity with the low scoped zoom sensitivity multiplier and the high look boost, that is super important. Also the low zoom look boost, I feel like that's more preference, but this is what's worked for me. Again, if I'm ADS and I want to flick as like maybe it's a sword dash light, they'll curse those players that needs nerfed so badly, but that's another topic. Sword dash light and model 1887, tell me in the comments below if you disagree. Both of those need a nerf so badly. Anyway, moving on. If they're dashing in one way, these look boosts gives me that boost so I can track the dash. It's really hard to do, and I don't do it successfully that often, but that's what would help with that, so I have that turned on a little bit. Also, if you have stuff in an FPS game, sensitivity-wise, and you're playing on controller, here's a big tip with me. You have to use the horizontal sensitivity needs to be faster, because the biggest thing in FPS games, doesn't matter what FPS game you're playing, if it's COD, CSGO, Fortnite, the finals, your centering is going to be your biggest asset. Not your movement, not your aim, your centering. Your centering is your ability to keep your center of your screen, that dot that you walk around with, at the point where if you turn a corner, it's going to be on someone. You're not looking down when you're walking around. You're not looking up when you're walking around. So have that horizontal sensitivity faster than the vertical. That'll help you stay on that plane in the center and not over adjust and start looking too far up and too far down. That'll make you feel like you're in a bit more control of your aim, because it's going to stay in a spot where that you want it to be. And you're just going to find over time you're getting used to being in a more successful scenario that you've set yourself up for. So that's why I feel that. I would show you mouse and keyboard settings, but ew, we don't use that. I wish I could. People who are good on mouse and keyboard are way better than me. Here are my video settings. Now, if you want better FPS, I've got a pretty powerful rig. I don't find that my finals is running poorly, so I kind of boost up a little bit because I'm making content and I want it to look good. So if you want to go a little bit lower for better performance on your system, by all means, go ahead and do that. But these are the settings I'm running, but keep in mind that these settings are chosen so that the gameplay looks a bit more vibrant and pretty to look at, because I'm putting on a show at the end of the day. So this is what I'm running, motion blur. This is something that people do when they make content on this game. You turn it on, it looks a bit buttery smooth. If you're over competitive, you're definitely gonna have that off. I like lens distortion. It makes me feel like my field of view is even wider than it is. It's definitely placebo, but I like it. It does that for me. FOV, I definitely think you should have it maxed out, in my opinion. Some people have it at like 90, 95. I think that's good too. But the wider you have it, the more you're going to see what's going on around you. The only thing is, the wider it goes, the harder it is to control recoil. But with recoil smoothing, which another tutorial we'll get on later, I ran out of space on my computer. So as I was saying, I know you guys see me completely mitigate that FCAR recoil, and you guys are wondering how I do that. It's called recoil smoothing. Look it up for now, but I'll do a tutorial on it later. So subscribe if you want to see that, and keep that bell notification on if you want to know immediately when I do that recoil smoothing tutorial. But plug aside, field of view lets you see more, but it makes the recoil a little bit harder to control if you don't know how to recoil smooth. Now, RTX Global Illumination, I have it on medium, looks really good, but I'm just going to go through all these custom because I have things on different things. All low will give you better performance, all high will give you worse performance, but it'll look good. I go epic for view distance. I want to see what's going on as far away from me in the map as possible. I feel like that's really good for a competitive edge. Medium, low, medium, medium, low, low, low. Now, these two, I have these disabled. I haven't looked into them, but I just feel like it's going to help me in the long run. Now, audio. Originally, I was going to go over audio because I didn't think it was important, but a few things. Music volume 8, because I like the music. They did a really good job of making this music really coincide with the ambiance of this season. So I like to hear it every now and then, but I keep it low so I can hear footsteps and everything. Commentator volume. Now, if you're hyper competitive and you don't like that voice in your ear, you can definitely turn this down to 0, but I think Scotty and June really add to the feeling of a game show, so I have that cranked up almost to half. Normally, if you're a competitive player, you're going to turn that all the way down. I love it. I love the finals. I love everything about the lore around it, and I'm like a casual competitive, I found. I hate using metas. I hate doing stuff that is super competitive but takes away from the fun of the game. This is one of those things. I think keeping the commentators on makes me enjoy the game more. So that's personal preference for you, but I like hearing them in my ear. It makes me feel like I'm actually in a game show. Voice chat off. I'm always off voice chat. I'm in the Discord with the boys when I'm playing. Night mode, this is important. If you play on a TV and you live with roommates, this is a very specific situation, but just in case someone that's watching me does do this, night mode would be great, because what that does is it takes those peaks, those explosions, those big noises, and it brings those peaks down so that you don't wake people up around you. You can still use those TV speakers. So that's what night mode is. Sometimes in like other competitive games, people have found that it brings up some of the low noises and equalizes everything. It makes footsteps easier to hear. But I think this game doesn't really have a problem of finding people. You get that belt clinging noise when someone's near you instead of footsteps. So that's not a setting I really take advantage of here. But if you're in that specific situation, I feel like this is a great setting for you, so I wanted to go over it. Mute game when minimized, I definitely do that. Subtitles are off. And then output, yeah, that's everything there. Accessibility, I don't do colorblind mode. Some people do because it makes their game look more appealing, especially if they're doing content. I like to just keep it default. I think it looks good to me. Motion blur, again, another motion blur setting off here. And directional equipping makes me do one button press to equip my equipment. I think that's really important. There is a wheel you can do on controller. I used to, when I first played this game, use the wheel to free up some extra buttons. But it just takes so much time to open the wheel, pick what I want to use. Like if I wanted to use stun gun, you'd have to open the wheel, like in GTA when you're picking a weapon, go over to stun gun and do that really fast and try and do it. One button press is so much better, but that is an option that you have for yourself. Now, these are all of my settings. The biggest of which, oh my gosh, I almost accidentally added some trigger delay, is this auto sprint and auto sprint trigger delay. When I first turned this on, I think they added this at the beginning of season 2 or 3. I was a light main, and then when they added this, I was a medium main because it made me feel like I was finally in control of my medium in terms of movement. I didn't feel slowed down at all. So this is a huge setting. If you were going to change one thing from this video, I would say this auto sprint trigger delay. Also the sensitivities, obviously very important, but this is super big. At least try it out. At least go out in the practice range and try out this auto sprint. I'm telling you, if a game has auto sprint in it and you're a casual competitive player, at least give it a go. You can, maybe it'll make you slower sprint to fire in certain games. I definitely think it's worth it if you master the skill gap that comes with it. But again, up to you. Crossplay on. If you turn it off, you're scared of cheaters, to be fair. But hopefully this all helped you out. Let's go interface. Actually, we didn't go over this. These are, this is a big thing people have been asking me for as well. My crosshair settings. I know some people like my crosshair. Team colors on. You got to turn that on so you know what color people are. I think most people know that, but make sure you have that on. Text chat visibility on. Profanity filtering off. Come on, we're not weak here. In-world crosshair on. Centered on. You can see all these settings, but this is everything you need to do to get that crosshair in that is right above my head up here on your game. And I like that circle with the little T. Helps me line stuff up, especially if I'm using the model, because sometimes I'm disgusting and I'm using the model that actually needs a nerf. That little circle helps me keep a precise aim area, but also like give me that shotgun spread that I'm looking for. But these are all those settings to get my reticle the way that it looks in game if you are interested in doing that. And if I see you guys post some clips with that on, I'll know that you stopped by this video. And I'll comment and say, W-mans. But hopefully all of that helped you out. If I missed something that you wanted to see, let me know in the comments down below. If you are a sword dash player or a medium model 1887 player, click off this video. I don't like you. It needs nerfed and you're using a crutch. If you disagree, let me know and tell me you hate me. But until the next one, I'll see you guys in the arena. I'm loving the finals. Season 4 is fantastic, aside for those 2 changes I really want to see. But I'm having a great time. World Tour is great. I hope you guys are enjoying it too. Stick around for the content. I'm going to be staying on this game long term. And I love you guys. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.